Wow, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the press conference room to talk about the World Cup friggin' final. What a game, ladies and gentlemen. What a game of football. Sensational scenes, incredible comebacks, exciting extra time, and indeed, dramatic penalties. Everything you'll ever want from a final, and we're going to reflect on it today. We'll talk about Mbappe, we'll talk about Messi, his legacy, the incredible scenes, and we'll talk about maybe some good officiating in the end. I can't speak for the whole World Cup, but I actually think the refereeing in this final was good. And I watch Premier League football, so I'm not used to watching good refereeing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me to hear my thoughts on the final. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you can offer your own thoughts down in the comment section below, because I certainly invite you to do so, my dear sweet viewers and maybe subscribers. And this is a good opportunity to ask you to subscribe if you want to. And if you want to help a brother out, then drop a like. And who knows, maybe even become a member. Look, before we get into it, get the microphones up. For those who are on the fence, it's time to jump over to the Lionel Messi side of the fence. He's completed football. He carried Argentina to a Copa America, and now okay, fine, get the microphones down. And now the World Cup. Best player in their team both times. He's carried it. You can't give them that international. You can't beat him with that international stick anymore. I get it. You might preference Ronaldo for the more striker style football, but if you like poetry, you like artistry, you like goals, you like assists, you like playmaking, and ultimately you like winning, then you might like Lionel Messi. And I'll just prefer him as a character. Look, this is not a Ronaldo-related video. It's only referenced because it's just always brought up in here. When one does something good, the other one gets referenced. And to be honest, that's a compliment to the other, should you ask me. Now, listen, friends, this has not been my favourite World Cup for a multitude of reasons. It's in a peculiar time. I felt like this really didn't feel like a World Cup final day, largely because it's winter here in the south of England, and it was a miserable, drizzly, grey day, and I wasn't, in a vest like this, but in a big pub garden somewhere in London, getting drunk and just feeling like a festival of football. So there was largely that, but that's because of the timing of it. And of course it was problematic in many ways with corruption of Qatar winning. Yes, FIFA is corrupt, and yes, no World Cup is often completely clean. I realize that, but the thousands of migrant workers dying, and this is not, even without me getting into my thoughts about the no women's rights and the no humans rights, it cost $250 billion to build all the stadiums, which is equivalent to the last 19 World Cups. And I am one of these people that try to be mindful of the carbon footprint of our dying planet. But you cannot deny this was in many ways a sensational World Cup. Loads of underdog stories, an incredible final, and ultimately a great fairy tale ending for many of us, the greatest footballer of all time. And in terms of the game itself, it offered so much, man. It was because it didn't follow any script, this game. You might be like, oh, it's rigged. If you don't like Messi, you might be like, oh, it's rigged, Messi won it. But the thing is, France got loads of calls, and I thought the officiating was great in the end. At the beginning, I wasn't sure, the opening stages, I might have been like, oh, what's he doing here? But towards the end, he got everything right. When he booked the France striker for diving as well, how did he see that? And he was spot on. He got a lot right. But France didn't have a sniff. France just looked like people were talking about the virus that was going around the France camp. That, they clearly have all been lagging from this virus and they don't know how to play football. Because they looked like it, but clearly that wasn't true, because later on they exploded into life and went longer than Argentina. They were just not very good for 70, 80 minutes. A huge, a portion of the game. Mbappe was non-existent. But then again, as a forward, you can be non-existent. And it's totally okay if you end up scoring a World Cup final hat-trick and then going on to dispatch your penalty in the penalty shootout. No one can criticize Kylian Mbappe for this game. He was sensational in the end, even though it was for the smaller part of the game. But like again, like Alan Shearer said it on punditry when he was doing the analysis, like you can do that as a forward, you know. It doesn't matter as long as you get the goals later. But for like 70 or 80 minutes, they didn't have a sniff. Argentina stuck it up and Messi was doing lovely stuff. You know, they got the penalty. People talked about it being a soft penalty, but it was a penalty. He gets clipped. Di Maria roasts him. It's Ousmane Dembele. He's a winger. He doesn't. Wingers don't defend, especially the likes of Ousmane Dembele. And yeah, he got the wrong side of him. And then Di Maria wants it, but he gives it to him. You know, just don't touch him because this is gonna be a penalty, and it was. Obviously dispatched coolly and calmly by Lionel. He did it, you know, both his penalties. He just waits till Hugo moves, and it's just as cool as ice. Of course, Di Maria, that was a lovely goal to put them up 2-0 up. At that point, you know, the people were going, oh, it's rigged for Messi to win. At that point, they were like, okay, France literally haven't had a kick on goal. They've just scored an excellent team goal from their own defensive third. That touch from Messi, and then was it the ball from McAllister, and then the finish from Di Maria, back to front. It was an absolutely gorgeous goal, and at that point you think France had done it. Deschamps obviously reacts. He takes off Dembele and Giroud. I don't think that's a reflection negatively on Giroud. I think he's been excellent this World Cup, what he is. I think he just didn't suit what was going on. They didn't get the ball. So, like, right, how are we going to get the ball here? We're going to have to take off someone like Giroud, who's not going to, like, sprint all over the gaff, understandably, because brother's, like, 36, and he never had any pace to lose in the first place. So I don't think that's like a, you know, that is like a poor reflection on Giroud. I think that's just is what it is in the situation, in the scenario. So that's fair enough. But yeah, it's brutal, you know, acted quickly. And even in the second half, Argentina came out. It got to like 70 minutes. That stat was up of like all the shots on target from Argentina. France had absolutely nothing. And then they just sort of come to life. I mean, they showed a little bit. But until that penalty that they won, that was a penalty. Yeah, they were both penalties for me. And then, you know, Mbappe scores that, and then Mbappe himself scores a sensational finish. Just when you're like, oh, is he still a bit of a, you know, whingy or moody kid that, you know, scores a lot of pacey goals? No, he's ruddy brilliant. And he will outscore Messi and Ronaldo. Maybe Haaland will be up there with him, but the amounts of goals they scored, for me, even if Haaland and Mbappe and Haaland do score these goals, there will never be a player like Lionel Messi again, because he had that sort of grace and sort of artistry of a Maradona, but he had the numbers as well. I feel like Mbappe and Haaland are both excellent, but they're just really, you know, just bred for goals, which is fine. I think that's actually closer to Cristiano Ronaldo than, you know, your other types of players like your Eden Hazards or your Lionel Messis or stuff like that. Anyway, superb to get them back in the game, and, you know, I don't really have a horse in this race. I am half French, but I don't really have any affiliation with the French team because, although I love my French culture, I'm an England fan, and you know, as soon as England were not knocked out by France, I wasn't like, okay, I'll support France now. Really, I was like, I'd like Morocco to win it. It would have been awesome if Morocco could win. But you know, they were amazing anyway, Morocco. But you know, just because I feel so privileged to have watched Lionel Messi, and it does, just to complete this story, it was nice to see him do it. But, you know, it would have been also nice to see Mbappe do it as well, as just this phenom, this young, crazy, amazing player. So, goes to extra time. You know, Messi scores that goal, and it's, you know, it's great, a combinational play. The wide player stays on side. And then Messi gets over the line, and you think this is his moment. He's scored 2, Mbappe scored 2, but they've obviously won ahead, and this is it now. Do you know what I mean? And I actually think the Argentinian coach, forgive me, I've forgotten his name, he made a big mistake taking off Di Maria, at least that early. Maybe Di Maria wasn't fit to do that, but as soon as Acuna came on, he was so bad. He just screwed everything up in attacks. He was giving away fouls. It just didn't suit that. They should have done what he usually does, with 2-0 up, go with 5 at the back and try and stink it out. But ultimately, of course, they get that final penalty. Again, right call. It was a handball. It's frustrating. And you could say, that was soft like the first one. But again, it's a penalty. Mbappe dispatches it. And then obviously we get penalties. And what a penalty shootout again by Emi Martinez. Had to do absolute F all for the first 70 minutes of that game. and he's just an absolute, you know, sugar house, to not use the original phrase. You know, he throws the ball away, he dances, he gets in their heads, and he's good at saving penalties, and it works. You stick it up him, do you know what I mean? It's like Lloris is too nice. He wasn't doing any of that, you know. Maybe he feels like he's captain of France. He shouldn't be like lowering himself to this like mind games and, you know, dark arts. But mate, if it wins your country the World Cup, you should do whatever, dude. You know, do whatever. Anyway, a superb game, a wonderful finish, very, very exciting. And I think we all need a good lie down now. And many of you watching this, almost exclusively, will probably be Chelsea fans. Although non-Chelsea fans are, of course, welcome here in Football Therapy as well. We're all having to go from that level of football to watching Chelsea probably lose against Bournemouth. On that note, please do like and subscribe. Think of the good times, eh? Think of the good times. I thank you for joining me, and I'll upload tomorrow, so I'll see you there. Take care. Peace.